GTA 6 has been hit by another major leak, but this time I'm not particularly interested in showing you the leaked footage. I'm interested in something much bigger. How did they get it? Over the last few days, an individual or group calling themselves CyberLeek has started releasing what appears to be genuine GTA 6 material. Gameplay videos, images of the map, previously unseen mechanics, and apparently there's more to come. Rockstar and Take-Two have already begun issuing copyright takedowns against copies of the footage circulating online. But CyberLeek isn't behaving like your typical gaming leaker. They've created their own infrastructure, published a manifesto, used decentralized storage, launched a cryptocurrency, and threatened other publishers with becoming the next target. So today we're going to forget about GTA 6 for a moment, because from a cybersecurity perspective, there's a much more interesting question. Are we watching a sophisticated cyber attack against Rockstar Games, or does somebody simply have access to files they were never supposed to release? On August 18th, 2026, footage allegedly originating from GTA 6 began appearing online. One of the first clips showed protagonist Jason playing basketball, another showed driving and combat. More footage followed. Images claiming to show portions of the game's map were also released, and everything carried the same branding, CyberLeek. This wasn't somebody anonymously dumping a zip file onto a forum. CyberLeek was deliberately creating an identity around the leak. And that distinction becomes important later. Rockstar hasn't publicly explained where these particular files originated, but copyright takedowns quickly started appearing against copies circulating online. That doesn't prove every claim CyberLeek makes is legitimate, but combined with what can actually be seen in the footage, there's increasingly strong evidence that at least some of the underlying GTA 6 material is genuine. And that leaves us with our first cybersecurity question. Where did CyberLeek actually get it? This isn't Rockstar's first GTA 6 security incident. September 2022 saw one of the biggest leaks in gaming history. Approximately 90 development videos appeared online, but unlike the current situation, we eventually learned what had happened. Rockstar publicly confirmed that an unauthorized third party had gained access to its network and downloaded confidential information. The incident became associated with activity linked to the LAPSA cybercrime group. And there's an important cybersecurity lesson here. You don't necessarily need some incredible zero-day vulnerability to compromise a massive technology company. Modern organizations have enormous attack surfaces, employees, contractors, cloud infrastructure, VPNs, identity providers, developer accounts, messaging platforms, source code repositories, third-party vendors, and sometimes the easiest route into an organization isn't attacking the server. It's attacking the person who can already access the server. So this is where things get interesting. Right now, there is no publicly confirmed evidence showing that CyberLeek recently compromised Rockstar's internal network. That's important, because possessing stolen information and actually stealing that information yourself are two completely different things. CyberLeek could potentially be a current or former employee, a contractor, someone receiving information from an insider, someone who compromised an employee's account, someone who compromised a third-party company, someone who purchased or traded for previously stolen data, or somebody who genuinely breached Rockstar. Until technical evidence emerges, we simply don't know. And personally, there's something about the material released so far that makes me cautious about immediately calling this a sophisticated Rockstar breach. Think about what you would expect from a catastrophic compromise of a game development company. Potentially source code, internal documentation, developer credentials, emails, bug tracking databases, development builds, repositories, design documents, internal tools, and massive archives of data. But that's not what we're currently seeing. Instead, we're seeing a very curated collection. A gameplay video, another gameplay video, a map, another image, another video, and then CyberLeek asks people what they want to see next. That pattern could indicate that somebody possesses a finite collection of prepared media rather than unrestricted access to Rockstar's development infrastructure. It doesn't prove it, But it's an important distinction. Cybersecurity investigations aren't about finding the most exciting explanation. They're about following the evidence, and currently we don't have enough evidence to say CyberLeek breached Rockstar. We can only confidently say CyberLeek appears to possess confidential GTA 6 material. Now imagine you're investigating this incident from Rockstar's side. One of the first things you'd want to establish is exactly which internal asset each leaked file corresponds to. Which build, which department, who created it, where was it stored, who had permission to access it, and most importantly, who actually accessed it. Modern enterprise environments generate enormous quantities of logs, identity authentication, file access, cloud activity, VPN connections, endpoint telemetry, repository access, download events. If Rockstar can identify the original internal files, investigators may be able to reconstruct who interacted with them, and that's why an insider or contractor remains an interesting possibility. Someone doesn't necessarily need to hack Rockstar if Rockstar already gave them legitimate access. There's another possibility that gets overlooked. Rockstar might not have been the organization compromised at all. Games of the size of GTA 6 involve enormous ecosystems. Development studios, QA companies, marketing agencies, localization companies, platform partners, technology providers, external contractors, licensing partners. The list goes on. Every organization that receives confidential material potentially expands the security boundary. This is called third-party or supply chain risk. Imagine Rockstar has excellent security, multi-factor authentication, endpoint detection, network segmentation, strict access controls, 24-hour security monitoring, but Rockstar sends a promotional video to an external company. If that company's security is weaker, an attacker may decide, why attack Rockstar when I can attack the company Rockstar trusts? This principle applies far beyond gaming. Attackers frequently target the weakest trusted relationship rather than attacking the primary target directly. Now we reach the part that makes CyberLeek genuinely interesting from a technical perspective. They're not relying entirely on conventional file hosting websites. Material has also been distributed using Arweave. Arweave is designed around decentralized, persistent data storage. That creates a problem for traditional takedowns. With a normal server, you can identify the hosting provider and potentially have the content removed. With decentralized storage, removing the website that points to something doesn't necessarily remove the underlying data. CyberLeek has also used multiple gateways and mirrors, so you can take one front end offline and another gateway may still expose the underlying information. This is essentially a resilience strategy. The concept isn't new, but combining decentralized storage, conventional mirrors, and cryptocurrency infrastructure makes this leak considerably harder to contain than somebody simply uploading a video to YouTube. And then things become even stranger. CyberLeek claims this isn't simply about leaking GTA 6. They've published what they call the CyberLeek Edict. Their demands target practices they consider anti-consumer within the gaming industry. Among them, no digital pre-orders, no charging consumers to unlock supposedly completed single-player content already contained within a game, a preservation of offline single-player functionality when publishers eventually shut down online services. Whatever your opinion of those arguments, they're not completely invented problems. Digital ownership and game preservation have been debated within the gaming community for years, but there's an obvious contradiction. CyberLeek claims to be defending gamers, while threatening to leak one of the games those same gamers have waited more than a decade to experience. And they've reportedly even threatened the possibility of revealing the game's ending. At that point, who exactly is being punished? Rockstar executives or millions of ordinary players? There's another component we can't ignore: cryptocurrency. CyberLeek has promoted a token called CyberLeek, and they've created polls where users send tokens to particular cryptocurrency addresses to vote on which footage gets released next. Think about that system for a second. Obtain highly sought after confidential material, build enormous attention around it, launch or promote a cryptocurrency, make ownership or transfer of that cryptocurrency part of the interaction, then drip feed additional content to maintain attention. That doesn't automatically mean the entire operation is a scam. But from an OSINT perspective, it should immediately make us skeptical. CyberLeek claims the money will help fund its activities and a future secret project, but anonymous promises aren't evidence. And genuine GTA 6 footage doesn't make a cryptocurrency trustworthy. Those are completely separate questions. And this is where CyberLeek becomes difficult to categorize. Is this hacktivism, financially motivated cybercrime, and inside the leak, a publicity campaign, a combination of several of them? Hacktivists traditionally use cyber operations to promote political or social causes. CyberLeek certainly presents itself that way, but attaching a cryptocurrency introduces a direct financial incentive, and that means we need to consider another possibility. Maybe the ideology is genuine, maybe the money is the real objective, or maybe both things are true simultaneously. People aren't required to have one motivation. Someone can genuinely believe the games industry is exploiting consumers, while also recognizing that possessing unreleased GTA 6 footage gives them an incredible opportunity to make money. For Rockstar's security team, however, none of that is necessarily the biggest concern. Their biggest question is probably extremely simple. Does CyberLeek still have access? Imagine two scenarios. Scenario 1. Somebody gave CyberLeek 20 videos 6 months ago. Rockstar identifies the source, access gets revoked, the remaining videos eventually leak. Embarrassing? Absolutely, but the breach is contained. Now scenario 2. CyberLeek currently has access to an employee account, cloud environment, internal file server, or trusted third party. Every new file Rockstar creates potentially becomes accessible. That's an entirely different incident, because now we're dealing with persistence. And incident responders would have to determine how did they get in, when did they get in, what credentials were compromised, did they establish persistence, what did they access, what did they exfiltrate, and have they actually been removed? Until Rockstar understands that, the organization can't confidently know the incident is over. There's another fascinating element. The leaked files themselves can potentially provide clues. Video containers can contain information about encoding software, codecs, resolution, timestamps, bitrate, and other technical characteristics. Cryptographic hashes can identify whether supposedly different mirrors contain exactly the same file. Upload timestamps can help establish a timeline, and if several leaked videos share unusual encoding characteristics, investigators could potentially determine whether they were processed together. None of that automatically identifies a leaker. Metadata can be modified, files can be re-encoded, timestamps can be misleading. But when combined with internal Rockstar logs, these small pieces of evidence could become extremely valuable. That's digital forensics. One artifact really solves an investigation. Instead, investigators correlate dozens or hundreds of seemingly insignificant artifacts until a timeline emerges. And the damage goes considerably beyond people seeing GTA 6 early. Rockstar may have to investigate employees and contractors. Credentials may need rotating, access permissions may need changing, development systems could require auditing, third-party relationships could require investigation, employees may lose convenient access to internal material, developers could be pulled away from development to assist incident responders, and marketing plans that took months to prepare can be destroyed overnight. There's also intellectual property. Gameplay footage is one thing, source code would be dramatically more serious. If CyberLeek suddenly demonstrated possession of current source code, internal repositories, or confidential corporate documents, my assessment of this incident would change immediately. That would indicate a potentially much deeper level of access than the videos we've currently seen. And then there's CyberLeek's warning. According to their manifesto, other publishers should change their behavior, or potentially become the next target. That's an enormous claim, but right now, that's all it is, a claim. If CyberLeek suddenly produces confidential material belonging to a completely unrelated major publisher, things become much more interesting. Because then we have to ask, are they independently compromising multiple companies? Do they have multiple insiders? Are they purchasing access? Are they obtaining data through third parties? Or are they sitting on previously stolen datasets? That's when CyberLeek potentially stops being primarily a GTA 6 story and becomes a much broader cybersecurity story. Based purely on what is publicly known right now, I'm not convinced we've seen evidence of an elite hacker group penetrating Rockstar's deepest systems. We've seen evidence that somebody possesses valuable confidential information. Those aren't the same thing. My current theory is that one of the three things is most likely someone with legitimate access supplied the material, someone compromised an account or third party that had legitimate access, or CyberLeek obtained a pre-existing cache from somebody else. A direct compromise of Rockstar remains completely possible. We simply don't have the technical evidence yet, and that's exactly why this story is worth following, because every new release potentially gives us another piece of the puzzle. The GTA 6 footage is obviously what gets the headlines, but personally, I'm much more interested in the security incident happening behind it. Who obtained these files? Where did they come from? How old are they? Does CyberLeek have a finite collection, or do they still have access? And most importantly, who's next? Because CyberLeek has already threatened other publishers. If another company's confidential material suddenly appears, this story changes completely. Until then, don't confuse claims with evidence. Don't assume someone calling themselves a hacker actually performed the intrusion. And definitely don't assume that genuine leaked footage means an anonymous cryptocurrency is legitimate. I'll continue following the CyberLeek incident as it develops. If we get enough technical information, I'll do a follow-up breaking down the evidence and looking at what it tells us about the possible source. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm CyberEd, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.